follow the evidence wherever it leads us is so much my position that I guess I am interested genuinely in actually helping get problems that exist in our society solved. I mean, unlike I guess some like Fox politicians who just run for the sake of like actual power. I'm different in that I actually want to see problems solved. And I am also a listener, so I listen to people talk about their problems, and if people don't dump on me, I'll find a YouTube video where somebody's dumping to the entire internet. So I do quite a bit of listening. I think that's like how I discovered that I forgot, for instance, that the Jehovah's Witnesses that I'm no longer a part of, engaged in shunning and how they destroyed lives and how I, started joking about the Jehovah's homewreckers and everything. It's precisely because I do listen, I had forgotten that aspect of things. It had been so long. And apparently now they've changed their policy in regards to shunning, so they're like actually acknowledging that it was a socially destructive policy that ripped families apart and destroyed them. And I mean, kudos for. I don't know why they changed their minds. I mean, what the published literature is about it, I don't particularly care. But I do have my ear on the ground quite a bit to actually listen to people. Just by the fact that I chatter quite a bit. Like I actually do take some time back and actually listen to what people are saying, and you know it is very consistent with my position in regards to the Justin Baldoni versus Blake Lively drama, in that if this was any other phenomenon, I'd be saying the same thing. I mean, I want to point something out about this. I mean, I don't like cops. I'm not I know that might not make the most popular position in cyberspace or anything, or for somebody with my skin color, but I'm not a big fan of the police. I mean, I guess I would say that Oregon's police are not the most offensive of the lot, but nationally, the police have been turning into a horror story where we're finding out that they're shooting unarmed black kids who aren't guilty of much more than shoplifting, and like imagine if a white person did the same thing, they wouldn't get shot. You know, one of us, if we did it, no. I mean, because we're white, that's why. Like, it's messed up. And I don't accuse Portland police of being racist, because they aren't, largely, as a law enforcement body, but that doesn't mean there aren't racist in law enforcement at a national level. It just kind of depends on the locale that you live in. I mean, how awful the police are going to be. And, ours locally are pretty tame, and forgiving. And I mean, I'm not, I'm not so against them, but, research papers are coming out and hitting the deck, so to speak. And one that was of particular pertinent interest to me was More Cops, Less Crime. Because I really don't want to see more cops on the street. It's not like I like living in an environment where I'm less likely to get pulled over by the cops, or less likely to get pulled over for a traffic violation and all the petty shit interactions with the police. So I actually don't want to see more cops on the streets, especially because from my vantage point, for the most part, the cops, what they do is protect business owners that have like brick and mortar stores from potential sources of mayhem, like myself. They're not really there to protect me so much as protect the civil, structure and order of society. It's not really about keeping me safe as it is, preventing people that might disrupt commerce in some way from doing so. So, I'm you know, you know what I mean. I'm not a big fan of them. I don't buy the. I find that those of you that believe that they're actually here to protect and serve to be a rather gullible lot of people. We've seen the way that they respond in mass shooter situations when the Uvalde cops took over, an hour for to enter the building. apparently, like, it was just a massive delay, and then the Supreme Court ruled that, ultimately the cops have no ultimate responsibility to, actually protect and serve. It was absolutely nuts. They had no obligation to enter the building, which was absolutely crazy to me that the Supreme Court of all, bodies would back them on this shit. It was awful. And that is not the end of, like, the bad takes the Supreme Court has had on the police. They've okayed them refusing to hire people if their IQ scores were too high. Like, do you want dumb cops? Like, is that is that really what you want? You want, the cops to police people who are actually smarter than them. Like, that's what you want. You want them, like, it's a little bit upside down. So no, I mean, I'm not ultimately a fan of it, but, research papers are coming out that say that more cops, less crime, which, it all makes sense. I mean, because what the research papers are showing is that harsh punishment has not succeeded as a social policy in actually blighting and stemming the tide of crime, because most criminals, for the most part, don't think they're going to get caught, you know, and the only way to actually stem the tide of crime is not through harsh punishment, but through increasing the risk of getting caught. I mean, you could have soft punishments, but if people thought they were going to get caught, and that the ramifications were going to keep getting more and more intense over time and everything, and even if you were a relatively forgiving society and a forgiving court that, wasn't so eager to put men in cages and everything, if you had enough cops on the streets to intimidate people into believing that they would get caught, that would have an effect on people's, calculus about whether they would get caught, such that they were less likely to actually crime. I mean, you can see this phenomenon on the highway all the time too. I mean, like, everybody be going 70 in a 55-mile-an-hour zone, but when they see the flashing lights up ahead, what happens? Everybody slows down to 60. Like, so, just a little bit over, but, by not enough for the cop to be willing to actually pull them over. Like, it's a phenomenon. And, when, people make the rational calculation, I'm not going to crime in front of a cop. Like, that's just the thing about all of it. So it's like more cops on the beat will lead to less crime, and this is all confirmed in the research that harsh punishment doesn't work, that more cops on the street works, and all this. And so it's like, do I like the implications of this research paper? No, but that research paper is out there, and we should follow the evidence where it leads us.